What is going on, guys? All right, so I really want to go ahead and showcase this deck that I've been playing for a decent amount of time. Decent amount of time meaning a good 2 to 3 weeks since I decided to go ahead and make the comeback. I know I've been switching back from Cosmo, a whole bunch of decks I'm playing online, but this is definitely the most fun. And it's Shaddoll's, right? So Shaddoll's is such a fun deck. It's very inexpensive, and I want to go ahead and show this to you guys as to, I guess, show you that a really good budget deck can be made. Budget, I mean, I want to say around $100, $100 or less, right? And if anything, there's like one card that might be able to trade out, but it's definitely able to do this. So let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. All right, so we're gonna start things off very standard, of course. First card you want to go ahead and play is your triple Shaddoll Wendy. Now Wendy, of course, is going to be your starter card. Her flip effect is going to be used very rarely. The main thing you're going for the Shaddolls is going to be their secondary effect, which is going to be 2. I'll share a similar effect is when they're sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon one Shaddoll monster from your deck in face down defense position except Shaddoll Wendy. This is huge in future combos, which I go ahead and make a video later on about if you guys do not know that already. Right, so Wendy definitely mandatory at 3. Right. Next, we got your second best card in deck, triple Shaddoll Squamata. Forgive me, it is a common, I understand. I thought about 3 ultras, I did not, so go ahead and pick one up as well. But Squamata is amazing. It's just a foolish burial for the deck, which, like I explained with Wendy, all Shaddolls share these similar effects. When they're sent to the graveyard by a card effect, they get a certain effect, right? So having a foolish burial for the deck is amazing. It sends any Shaddoll card from your deck to the graveyard, which counts as monsters, and it can also send things like your El Shaddoll fusion or your Shaddoll incarnation, just set you up for further plays down the line. Also, if I have random times where I put Squamata as like a interruption card, right? So I said the flip effects aren't really used too much except Squamata, who the flip effect is you can target one monster in the field and destroy it, which just adds another form of interruption during your opponent's turn, which I think is really huge as well. Next, of course, the rest of the Shaddoll lineup. Play 2 Hedgehog. Hedgehog is going to be your reinforcement of the army. Whenever this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add 1 Shaddoll monster from your deck to your hand, any Shaddoll monster from your deck to your hand, which is just amazing. You can go ahead and search your Squamata, you can go ahead and search your Wendy, set you up for future plays. Definitely play that too. 3 is a bit too much. Honestly, this deck is consistent enough to where it doesn't need 3, so I think 2 is definitely the right call. And now for the one of Shaddoll monsters, of course, you're going to go ahead and play the 1 Shaddoll Falco, the 1 Shaddoll Kleos, 1 Shaddoll Ariel, 1 Shaddoll Dragon, and 1 Shaddoll Beast. Now, one of these things is not like the other. It's ugly duckling, okay? Now, Kleos is considered the ugly duckling of the Shaddoll family, I understand that, but the good thing is that because of Hedgehog, we can search it, and it is the only light one that we have, so it really does come up in certain times where you really got your back up against the wall. You really just need to make a construct to go ahead and go off in your combos, and sometimes you just don't run into it, and it happens. And I'd rather have the out and not need it than need it and not have it. So definitely go ahead and play that one. No one should ever play more than one of this card. But yeah, its graveyard effect is pretty irrelevant. Let's see, if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can send 1 Shaddoll monster from your hand to the graveyard. If you do, for the rest of the turn, all monsters you control gain attack and defense equal to its level times 100. See, that is rarely ever gonna come up. Has never come up when I use it, but it's really relevant, so just go ahead and put that one away. These 4 are going to be your main ones. Beast is just an extra +1 unless you go ahead and draw a card if it's sent to the graveyard by card effect. Falco special summons itself. So let's keep a body on board, which is huge for defensive plays. Also, its flip effect, you can target a Shaddoll monster in your graveyard and special summon in phase and defense position, so you can go ahead and bring back your resources. And this deck does a great job of just recycling resources, which is why I really love this deck. Like I've said a million times, I love Cosmo because it just recycles itself so well. Same thing with Shaddoll, just keep recycling, so you never lose resources. Shaddoll, another great interruption card. This card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect. You can target one spell, trap, current field, destroy it. And then its flip effect is you can target one card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. So this is the other one. Squamata and Dragon are the other ones I really ever put face down as part of as like an interruption, because I know my opponent knows they have to deal with it, and it's something that they have to, I guess, it can't be taken lightly. It's not something you can overlook, so definitely go ahead and play that. And probably the most important one in the entire deck has to be Neil Shaddoll Ariel. Now, her effect is amazing. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target up to 3 cards in your graveyard and banish in the graveyard and banish them. That's great in itself, just because you get to go ahead and take cards from your opponent's graveyard as well. It does not say literally just your graveyard, because that would really suck. But this could really go a long way as far as interrupting things like, dinos or whatever, any pretty much deck that uses graveyards. But the main thing you may use it for is the flip effect. You can target one of your banished Shaddoll monsters and special summon in face up or face down defense position. It plays off really well with Shaddoll Incarnation. And I'll show you guys more a little bit if you do not know already. But yeah, definitely. So that's it for the Shaddoll lineup, guys. As far as the monsters goes, as far as the main support, you gotta play Triple Mathematician. All 3 are Foolish Burial for literally any level 4 lower monster from a deck to the grave, which is just amazing as nuts. Just throw as many cards to the grave as possible. If that grass is greener was still legal or unbanned, I'd definitely be playing like a 60 card variant, but definitely go ahead and play the Mathematician. Next, I do play the Performage engine, so triple damage juggler, 1 trick clown, and the hat trigger. Hat triggers actually come up a lot more than I originally thought it would, just because it can go ahead and special summon itself without really needing anything. Doesn't pay any cost or anything to go ahead and summon it. Performance juggler just go ahead and searches everything, and it's light itself, and trick clown is just clutch all together. Right. Next, last monster support, I do play 1 elemental hero, Blazeman, just because on normal summon you can search that polymerization from your deck to the hand. So it really just adds to more of the consistency where there's no way you're gonna open up and not have at least 1 Shaddoll and 1 fusion card. As long as you get one of each, you should be good to go and combo off from there. Now, that's it for the monsters, guys. As far as the spells goes, this is where it gets a little bit standard, but then it gets a little bit nutty. So as far as spells, of course, you gotta play the triple Shaddoll fusion, the triple El Shaddoll fusion. I also play, of course, the double super poly and the 1 regular polymerization. Please excuse the not original artwork for polymerization. It is currently in New York, my copy, so I'm just going to use this one from now as a placeholder. Just ignore you seeing that. But this is kind of what I have for just fusion cards, guys. You have 9 targets so far, and not only this, I do also play 3 copies of Fusion Recycling Plant. Now, Fusion Recycling Plant, what this card does is once per turn you can discard a card and add a polymerization from your deck to your deck or graveyard to your hand. Now, this is a cost, so the Shaddoll effects don't go off of it, but you can still use it in combination with a card like a damage juggler or anything like that, and the damage juggler will still be able to get its effect to banish and search a Performage. But Fusion Recycling Plan has been such a clutch card for me, just because there's a lot of times where I'll be using a lot of resources, and like I said, recycling is a huge deal for me. So Fusion Recycling Plan, its second effect is once per turn during your end phase, you can target 1 monster in your graveyard that was used as a fusion material for a fusion monster for a fusion summon this turn, add it to your hand, which means you can go ahead and add Wendy back to your hand. You can go ahead and add the the Hedgehog, the Squamata that you use to go ahead and summon your bigger monsters. Even for, especially for a card like Shekanaga, right? Shekanaga, you need to have a Shaddoll in your hand. When you make Shekanaga and have nothing in your hand, it doesn't really help a lot. But Fusion Recycling Plant always keeps your Shekanaga alive, and always keeps the opportunity for you to go ahead and continue comboing off in your next turn. So it's just a super clutch card. I definitely fell in love with the Fusion Recycling Plant. Also super budget as well. Now we're almost to the end, guys. Now it's for the 1-ofs. You play 1 Part of Avarice, 1 Emergency Teleport, 1 Foolish Burial, and I do play the 1 Regeki for some of the BS that I do encounter a lot. Is just really the Regeki. I use it more or less like a bait, because this is, you know, even though there's like a Lightning Storm, whatever, Lightning Storm I just don't have to, you know, to be able to start playing that type of card in my deck, or else I might try it out, but I really don't feel like it's necessary because Shaddoll isn't really like a going second deck. So Regeki is a card that you have to respect and has to, I guess, take some sort of consideration as far as, you know, what are you going to do about it. Now, Part of Avarice, of course, pretty self-explanatory. Target 5 monsters in your grave, go ahead and shuffle them all back, draw 2. It's Part of Greed in this deck, because you're always going to have monsters in the graveyard. You can even activate just turn 1, no problem. Foolish Burial, pretty self-explanatory as well. And E-Telly, of course, for your Wendy plays. Alright, that's it for the spells, guys. Now I just played 2 more cards. Right now I am playing 2 Shaddoll Incarnations. Now I did want to go ahead and take one of these out and put a Schism. So if you do have that, go ahead and play the Schism. It'll be a much better option for you guys. You really don't want to see this card in your hand. If you do, I mean, it still works. It still has the Monster Reborn, the Call the Haunted effect, if you will, I guess. From your graveyard back, special summon it, but the main reason you want to go ahead and play this is its secondary effect that lets you banish 1 other Shaddoll monster in your graveyard while it's in the graveyard, and then you can flip 1 face down defense position monster to face up defense position. So that's how you combo off with Ariel to go ahead and get back the construct that you will most likely link away. I don't know if that's really making sense what I'm saying, but if you guys have played the game for a little bit, I mean, I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. If you don't, please go ahead and let me know, and I'll go ahead and be able to explain it for you guys. I don't want to make this too long. Now I want to go ahead and go into the extra deck. Pretty standard, guys. Double Construct, double Winda, double Lap Cologne, 1 Shekanaga, and that's pretty much it for the fusions, at least the Shaddoll fusions, right? I do also play some, of course, super poly targets. Gotta play the 1 Earth Golem Ignister, the 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, and the 1 Prayer Plant, this one. I can't say that name, but just that's the one I play. Now it really comes in clutch when it comes to like a dark monsters, just having on the field. This is really good against Salamangreat, but it's really all I have for right now. I do want to get a Mud Dragon. I don't have one. If you do have Mud Dragon, I would go ahead and take out the Predator Plant. I think this is like $7-8, so that's gonna go ahead and cut you some costs right there. And that's pretty much it for fusion monsters, guys. It is a very fusion heavy deck, but again, you do play cards like Part of Avarice is going to go ahead and recycle everything again. As far as your link monsters go, I play 1 Shaddoll Construct, 1 Cross Sheep, and 1 Gravity Controller. Now, Shaddoll Construct is a card that a lot of people overlook, but I have actually found it very clutch in some moments where I'll be going through my combo, and all of a sudden I'll run out of ways to fuse because they are harder ones per turns, the Shaddoll Fusion, El Shaddoll Fusion. So I'll be able to go ahead and summon the construct and fuse with it as well. Of course, Cross Sheep is an amazing card. I don't think any Shaddoll deck should not be playing Cross Sheep. It's such a good extender. And Gravity Controller, of course, for that last more like a last resort. I really don't summon Gravity Controller too much. I mainly will go into like Cross Sheep, but if I don't have the resources, of course, I'll go into the Gravity Controller so I can still get that plus. And the last two XCs are going to be Tornado Dragon and 41 Baguska.